Hi guys, so sorry it's been a little while since I've made a video. I have been just traveling a lot and been really busy with my day job or my work. I'm also fighting sort of an upper respiratory infection, so forgive my voice if it's a bit hoarse. But what I want to focus on today is just some of the techniques and the healing remedies that I personally used to sort of get over some of the stages of the, get through the healing process from narcissistic abuse. And, some things just happen naturally with time, but other things I really feel required a lot of sort of active effort and work to sort of overcome. So, it's a weird thing when you're grieving the loss of this relationship. It's different than a lot of sort of normal breakups because when you realize that you were with somebody who was pathologically disordered, a narcissist or a sociopath or psychopath or whatever sort of cluster B individual, maybe borderline that you were dealing with, when you come to terms with this, what you are grieving aside from the loss of the relationship, your hopes and dreams around it, what you thought you had, is you are also grieving in this other strange way because you recognize that the person that you were with they were a fraud, right? So that taints all of your memories of the relationship because it was fraudulent, right? So you look back and it's missing that crucial element that is normal in the loss of sort of a neurotypical breakup, which is it's sort of missing the Casablanca effect, where you can look back. For instance, I had a boyfriend that died, and he died really young. He was 34, I was 32. We were both very young. He died of a genetic disorder, and before he died, we had problems because he was very sick, and it wasn't just his sickness. It was just we were having problems, and so we split up for the few years before he died. But when he died, and even during that breakup, we had the Casablanca effect because I could always look back and he could look back and be like, yeah, remember those great times we had? Remember when we were so, in love with each other? And, we could look back and it was sort of this pure sort of grieving. And we ended up being really good friends for many years, or I think three or 4 years after we broke up until he died. And it had the Casablanca effect. We laughed about old times and we laughed about how things were, and we could reminisce about the past. So that was like a pure sort of grief. But when you break up or you leave or the narcissist discards you, whatever happens, you don't have that because you look back and everything seems like pure fantasy, like it was a fraud because this person never loved you because they're not capable of love, right? They're not what's a neurotypical would consider love. I mean, a narcissist might think that they're in love, but it's not real. They're not in love with the person. People to them are just objects. They're there for their use. They utilize people for what they can do for them. So, they're users, right? So they don't really love. So you were with a fraud. You were with a fake person. You were with a mask. And that's very difficult because it's like a double-sided grieving. You're grieving the loss of the relationship, and then you're also grieving and in shock because you realize the relationship wasn't what you thought it was. It was a complete farce. But that doesn't mean that your love wasn't real. That doesn't mean that you didn't have real feelings towards this person. Did you love a mask? Did you love a fake person? Definitely. Did you know that? No. And you're not to be faulted for not knowing that. You're normal, you're neurotypical. Why would you ever think that somebody would send a complete false person to a relationship? If you're a normal person, you can't even imagine how somebody would go about doing that. If you're not a manipulative person, it doesn't even strike you as something that you would waste your time doing. It doesn't even make sense to you, right? You can't even wrap your head around it. So that's okay that you didn't know. You were duped, but that person is probably highly skilled at duping everyone in their life. So it's not like you were, the dummy. You were just doing what normal people do. You were loving with an open heart. You were trusting your spouse or your partner like you should be able to do. You were normal. They were duplicitous and disordered and disturbed. There's no way you could have known. So don't beat yourself up about that. Accept it, come to terms with it, accept that you were in love with a fraud, but that doesn't mean your love wasn't real. And even though you may look back and the experiences you had are all tainted because you were in it, your heart was in it, you felt it, and they were a complete, robot, and they didn't really have any feelings, and they weren't in it, they were a fraud, but you still had those wonderful experiences and they were real to you. So, that's okay for you to accept that. And it is also okay for you to grieve the loss of the relationship. And, another confounding factor here is usually with the narcissist or the sociopath, you find out they had a double life, they were cheating on you, they were having sex with prostitutes, they may have been having same-sex hookups with dudes that they met on Craigslist or women, whatever, when you thought they were heterosexual. They have this devious life of going to massage parlors and a porn addiction or whatever. You find this out, you start pulling the string, and then the more and more gets revealed, and it's very disturbing for you because you just had, you had no idea. So the grief and the loss of the relationship is also coupled with often with horrific betrayal. So you're grieving the loss of the relationship, but you're also horribly betrayed and in shock, and then usually that person, if you were married to them, you probably go through a horrific divorce where they will try to extract every penny and destroy you in every way that they can possibly do that, and you can't even wrap your head around it. It's beyond comprehension. They'll drag it out. If you have children, they will use the children as pawns. They have zero remorse, or they don't have empathy, so they don't care who gets hurt. They don't care about destroying the children. They don't care about leaving you in ruins financially. In fact, they love to do that. It's fun for them. It's like a game. These people are all about the game. They're playing a sick, twisted game. Normal people do not do that. Right? Not even close. Sorry, I'm just drinking tea because my throat's pretty bad. But so this is a really confusing time, and you're going to go through all the different stages, normal stages of the grieving process. You're going to go through denial, bargaining, anger, sadness, all of it. You're going to go through all the different stages of the grieving process, but it's going to be even more intense because it's coupled with betrayal and coming to terms with the fact that the person was a fraud. So some of the things that can really help you in this place is, one, come into reality, get out of the denial, get into acceptance. You're with somebody who's pathologically disordered. They are a fraud. They are a farce of a human being. You were duped. It's not your fault you were duped. It's okay. Most people have been duped by this person. That really high level ones are very good at duping the whole world, right? They present to be good as gold, angels. And, most people aren't on to how evil they are, duplicitous. Most people aren't. You have to be in a, close relationship, expecting intimacy, trying to get an intimacy from them, really, for you to be on to them. It's not easy to figure out that these people have no empathy. That a lot of them are really good at faking it. So you were duped. Come into acceptance of that reality. And also honor that it's okay for you to be sad about it. It's okay for you to grieve. That's totally appropriate. One thing that will really help you is to learn some self-soothing techniques. So, a lot of times when people are fresh off these relationships, their brain will perseverate. They'll have almost like OCD, because that's something that's neurologically happening with the brain with the cognitive dissonance. You're trying to reconcile, the person that you thought they were, who you experienced, with who they turned out to be. And your brain is having to hold these two conflicting ideas in its head of, this person is the good as gold person I thought they were. Oh, this person is evil without any empathy, and they're a sociopath. So having to hold those two very conflicting ideas, the human brain's not meant to do that. So really, that is going to happen whether you want it to or not, those perseverations. And your job is to really learn how to soothe your brain. And EMDR therapy is very helpful for this, as well as there was another form of treatment that I did called transcranial magnetic stimulation. And that is where they use magnets to sort of give us some charges to your brain, and it really helps to reset your brain. But EMDR therapy is very helpful as well, because what the narcissist does is their whole goal is to trigger your abandonment wound and to make you feel like you're a piece of shit, like you don't matter, like you're not worthy. And they do that with the way that they discard, they don't provide closure, they don't provide explanation. You could be in a relationship with them for 10 or 15 years, and then all of a sudden there's a light switch and they just like peace out. And you're like, what the hell is happening? You could have 5 children with them. It's the weirdest thing you've ever experienced. It's not normal. Neurotypicals do not do that. So, you're in a lot of shock. So they've triggered that abandonment wound. And EMDR therapy is a very specific form of therapy that can help you get in there and sort of address and heal some of those attachment issues from that abandonment wound. Very helpful. I also find meditation and somatic body work, like any sort of yoga or climbing therapy or running or swimming, any sort of physical exercise that you can do sort of to get some of this trauma out of your body. There's no question you have been traumatized. You are a trauma survivor. You probably have complex PTSD. This is all true. So you treat this breakup as you would if you were coming home from the military active combat and you have PTSD. You treat it that seriously, because that is how serious it is what you have. If you've been in a relationship with an emotional, psychological, physical, verbal abuser, because that's what you've been in, probably for a really long time. And your brain, you have been brainwashed, your mind has been twisted, you have been a pawn in somebody's dark game, and you've got to reprogram your brain. And so another thing you can do is really surround yourself with honest, good, amazing, kind, loving, awesome people. They will help ground you. You've been in la la land with insanity. You've been with somebody who is mentally disturbed, who has a personality disorder, who is twisted and duplicitous, and you have accepted their version of reality because you've been brainwashed so long. That is malarkey. Get surrounded by people that are sane, that are kind, that are good, that are wonderful people, and get grounded by those people and the truth and the reality, rather than this disordered individual that you were brainwashed by. That's really helpful. And then get outside, go running, go climbing, go to the beach, take walks with friends, set up appointments, have dinner with friends, go to movies with friends, surround yourself with good people, and make plans in your calendar so you have commitments and obligations to be with other people while you're healing. Another thing is, and this is sort of contrary to what I just said, but also spend some time alone. Figure out who you are. Start to love yourself. Start to enjoy your own company. Do not date right away. Do not get into another relationship with a psychological manipulator. Keep your boundaries high, your heart open, but your boundaries high. And surround yourself with loving, kind people, and learn how to self-soothe, how to self-regulate, when you're having anxiety and fear, how to make yourself feel better. And a lot of that stuff I learned in EMDR therapy. So I'm going to do more videos like this. I don't want to make this one too long because it's hard to upload if it's too long, but I will do some techniques that can really help you to, heal from narcissistic abuse. I hope you guys are having a really wonderful day and you're thriving and you're doing self-care. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.